Hi, OJ. Have you ever seen a miracle so powerful it made you cry? A woman in a wheelchair, paralyzed for years, suddenly rises to her feet in front of a screaming congregation. The pastor shouts, the crowd erupts, and the internet calls it divine proof that God still heals. But what if I told you it was all a lie? What if the woman wasn't crippled, wasn't healed, but hired? This isn't a confession about faith. It is a story about manipulation, money, and a church that turned the pulpit into a stage and used me as the prop. My name doesn't matter, OJ, but my truth does, because someone out there is still clapping for a miracle I was paid to perform. And today, OJ, I am finally ready to confess. I don't know how to say this without shaking, but maybe that's the price for truth after years of silence. You remember that miracle that went viral? The girl who rose from a wheelchair during a church service, tears screaming, crowd roaring, pastor shouting in tongues. That was me. Or at least, it looked like me. But I wasn't crippled. I wasn't healed. I was paid. Let me take you back, OJ. I was 24 years, hungry, broke, living in a crumpled kiosk-like room behind a mechanic shop in Accra. No job, no degree, just a phone full of motivational quotes and a stomach that rumbled louder than my dreams. One afternoon, a friend, let me call her Anita, sent me a voice note. She said her church needed someone for a special role. And in the upcoming healing crusade, they are looking for someone to act crippled. She said, laughing like it was just some joke. You will sit in the wheelchair, and when the pastor says, pray, you rise. I almost blocked her, but then she mentioned the amount 10,000 cedis. All cash, no questions, one night. OJ, I wish I could tell you I said no. I wish I could say I stood my grounds, but poverty has a way of choking conviction. That night, I said yes. They picked me up in a black tinted van, took my phone, gave me a new outfit, told me exactly what to say. You've been paralyzed for 3 years. This is the only church you ever believed in. Cry, fall, shake. When Daddy lays hands on you, jump like the Spirit hits your bones. I sat in silence, not because I was scared, but because I could feel something spiritual snapping inside me, something I might never get back. The next day, they wheeled me onto the stage. Hundreds of people, lights, cameras, music, worship thick like incense. The pastor's voice split the air like lightning, and he looked at me. He placed his hands on my head and screamed, "Daughter, rise." So I did. I jumped, I cried, I shouted, "I'm healed." And the church exploded. A man ran laps around the building like he had scored a goal. Women collapsed, sobbing. Ushers couldn't contain the frenzy. OJ, they called me a walking miracle. The girl who'd filed the doctor's report. The proof that God still moved. But they didn't know the truth. When I stepped off the stage, someone pressed an envelope into my hand. Here, they said, don't call, don't ask, don't return. And if anyone questions you, you were healed. OJ, I walked out of the church with 10,000 cedis in my hand and the weight of a spirit I couldn't name. That night, I sat at the roadside kiosk and stared at the envelope like I was soaked in blood. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the crowd crying, worshiping, and believing. And all of it was built on a lie. Days passed. I tried to forget. But how do I forget a lie that thousands of people are still watching? A few weeks later, my cousin called me, excited. I saw a video of you online. You were healed. It's you, right? She believed it. Everyone did. Even strangers began messaging me, asking me to pray for their healing. Some said they were fasting because of me. One woman even told me she was pulling her son out of the hospital because my miracle had renewed her faith. OJ, I dropped my phone and wept. That woman's child could die because of my performance, because of a role I played for 10,000 cedis. I tried to reach Anita. She had blocked me everywhere. The church, untouched. Then came the day that shattered everything. I got a voice note from a 40-year-old woman. Her voice cracked as she spoke. Sister, thank you. My daughter is 9 and in a wheelchair, but after watching your healing, I told her to stop her medication and start fasting like you did. She hasn't eaten solid food in days. We believe God will do for her what He did for you. OJ, I couldn't breathe. I collapsed on my floor and screamed until my voice cracked. What had I done? This wasn't just a fake miracle. This was spiritual manslaughter. I tried to move on, go to other churches, but the guilt followed me like a shadow. Every time someone testified about healing, I cringed. Every time I knelt to pray, I felt like God had turned His face away. But the most haunting part, they kept using the video. They turned it into a monthly feature, an advert on telestations, used it during fundraising campaigns. It became the signature miracle for the church. And me, they never checked in, never asked how I was doing, because they didn't need me. They had the footage. OJ, I was just a prop in a spiritual circus, but it got worse. One day, I saw another girl on their page. Same wheelchair, same story, different face. I realized then this wasn't a one-time scam. This was a factory. They were producing miracles like Nollywood scenes. I created a fake account and joined their online fellowship. That's when I saw it. The same wheelchair appeared in my videos from different cities, Lagos, Port Harcourt, even in Accra. Always someone new, always the same script. When I messaged one of the media guys anonymously and asked, "Do you verify these miracles?" He replied, "Sister, in this ministry, we don't verify faith, we amplify it." OJ, that line broke me. They weren't interested in God. They were interested in momentum, in manipulations. The more dramatic the miracle, the more people gave. And the more people gave, the more miracles they needed to stage. It was never about salvation. It was about sales. And I had helped them to sell God. That's why I'm speaking now, because somewhere someone is watching a video of me and thinking their faith isn't enough. Someone thinks they are not healed because they don't jump like I did. But that healing was fake. I wasn't healed. God wasn't there. Only lights, cameras, and a lie wrapped in a scripture. And yet, the real miracle, OJ, is this moment that I found the courage to confess, not to destroy the church, but to expose the theater hiding behind the cross. If you want to see the real healing, don't start with the wheelchair. Start with the pulpit. Start with the lies we clap for. Start with the system that sells God in HD and call it ministry. Because yes, I was the girl in the wheelchair, but now I just want to walk in truth. This is Your AnonymousOJ, and if you are new here, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and tell somebody about Your AnonymousOJ. I'll see you in our next confession.